So I want to show you one more thing that you're going to run into if you end up creating APIs. I this is a new app, right? It's a couple of lines. I don't think you could make anything simpler than this. But what I'm testing out here is I'm going to run this app on a different port, and I'm going to basically just have one route that spits out this HTML, and I'm going to use the fetch API and try to call that API that I created that I have running over in this other tab. So I'm calling this my client app, which is going to be attempting to access my Acme app. And so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to, this is my, sometimes could get hard to keep track of, but I'm going to refresh this page and I'll see an error. And if I go and I look at the error, what the error is going to tell me is you can't do this, right? Your browser has a security policy that says, hey, look, if you're in one domain, you can't access another domain. And a different port is considered a different domain. So I'm in 3001, I'm trying to access something in 3000, and I can't do it. Now, you've used APIs before, so you know you can do this. Well, what you need to do is you have to be aware of something called cross-origin resource sharing, or CORS. And what that basically does is it says that, hey, look, this site that you're attempting to access, I mean, in essence, it's really protecting, if you think about it, maybe it's protecting the client, but it's also kind of protecting this site. If you are an API and you want to have other sites be able to interact with you from the browser, there's a header that you have to pass back. And if I go over here and I end up looking at the network tab, and I go over here and I look at the response headers, I'm only going to see these 5 headers here. And we'll see that there's another one that's going to get added. Again, it's a response header. It's the one that's coming from the site that I'm calling my API. And it's fairly easy to set up here. I'm actually going to go in here and I'm going to kill this for a second. And I'm going to install something called CORS. Now, again, this is something that you could end up, you should probably end up configuring a bit more. But if you want other sites to be able to make calls to you from a client, then what you're going to have to do here, and again, the thing that we're trying to solve is that we cannot get a response here. We don't get a response, even though it's telling us 200 here. If we go and we actually look at our console, we'll see we have an error and we don't have any data. So, and again, the thing that I want you to look at here are these headers that are coming back in the response, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to go to my app now, and I'm going to just put one thing in here. App.use require CORS. And all this does really is this is just middleware. And this is the most basic use of it, but this is just middleware that's going to look at the response and it's going to add a header to the response. So now when I go back here and I refresh this, because my site is going to automatically end up restarting, and I go over here and I look at this, I'll see that it ended up sending back this access control allow origin. So basically, my site, my API site, is allowing this call to get made. And now if I go back to the console, my error is gone, and I could end up seeing my product. So if you want to expose your API, this is something that you have to deal with. And if you're a client and you have an error with that, you might not have all that much control over it, because it could be that whatever site you're trying to hit is not exposing their API by sending down these headers.